Hello guys, what is up? This is the next tutorial in the series, and for this tutorial I'm just going to explain what was going on in the last one. The screen you saw explaining which tools you needed to use was actually made with Python, so we're going to get into how to do that right now. So if all went well with your installation, you want to type in IDLE or run IDLE or search for it. And if all went well, you should find it and run that. That's going to be your editor for Python. You're going to write all your code in there, and you're going to test it all in there. And that's what we're going to be using. Now, if you know about Python, then you can go on ahead with the series. Or if you have no understanding of programming whatsoever, I suggest you go search up tutorials on Python, because there are people who can explain Python better than I can. So go ahead and do that if you don't have an understanding of Python. If you already have an understanding of Python, let's continue. So right now, I just wrote a simple while loop and a screen and whatever, and I'm going to explain what these things do. So to start off, I'm going to show you what this does. The import statement with Pygame in it basically imports the module of Pygame. If you did your research about Python and learned it, then you should understand what's going on here. I'm just importing the game library. So if all went well, it should work if you run, and it shouldn't give you an error saying that module doesn't exist. Otherwise, if that happens, I suggest you go re-download Pygame or uninstall Python altogether, reinstall it, reinstall Pygame. Secondly, we're going to import Pygame we're going to import from Pygame locals, and then import from it all. That asterisk represents all. Okay, so right now you should run it and there should be no errors and whatsoever. So to make a screen, you basically assign it to a variable. So I'll show you how to do that. Screen is equal to Pygame dot display dot set underscore mode. Then the screen size is the first argument, so let's put that in. It could be just a tuple or define class. Okay, well, we'll get into that later. But first of all, it's going to be a tuple saying whatever the width and height is going to be. So I set it to 640 by 480 because that's optimal for testing. And it's important. It's really important that you know how large your screen is, because we're going to be working with that later, and I'll tell you why. So the next argument is the flags. Well, I'll just set that to 0 for now, but later on we'll get into what they are. And then the next is the bit depth for the color. I'm going to set that to 32. Basically, the amount of the array of colors and the memories held for colors. So we're going to set that to 32. That's the highest. And actually, you don't even need to write these other two lines, but I wrote them in just so you know what the arguments are in there. So now if you run it, you should see a screen, but it's not going to respond. You're not going to be able to close it, and you're not going to be able to drag it around. We don't want that, so we're going to create a while loop, while true, and we're going to write inside it a for loop, and we're going to grab an event in pygame.event.get. Now, this method right here returns a list, basically containing all the events that happened, and let's check if the event.type equals quit. Then pygame.quit and sys or exit, I believe. Oh, and by the way, we're running Python version 2.7, so if you don't have that, there might be some minor differences. I believe in 3.2 there's a different structure for the if statements and the print statements, but I haven't actually learned 3.2, so go ahead and get Python 2.7 if you're not running it. So basically, these lines, what's a simple way to put it? this for loop grabs all the events that occur, and right here we're checking the event.type, and if the type is equal to quit, and you won't be able to use this unless you've imported the locals, and from the locals you've imported all, because this is a constant defined in the locals module of Pygame. And again, you should understand what I'm saying because you've looked up those tutorials, right? So this is a constant, and it's a numerical value probably, or a string or whatever. But this is just this if statement just checks if the event returned is equal to the quit event defined. So this basically exits Pygame, and this exits the compiler. So now if you run it, it should work. You should be able to drag around your screen and close it without any problems. So there you go. That's the first programming tutorial. So yeah, that's it.